Next up is one of my favorite parts of the day. I know I have a lot of favorite parts of the day, but this next one I actually get to call up members of my team, the customer experience team, and I just have a big place in my heart for them. So why don't y'all come up, Chris and Emma and Sean and Rach from our customer experience team. Let's give them a round of applause. I'll say just a few things before I pass it on to Chris. These four are in the top 1% of power users in this room. Frankly, in the world, they are in the app all day, every day, and they absolutely love helping customers. The three sitting are on our success coach team, and almost all day, every day, they hop on calls and help people who are struggling to build their playbook or have hit some hurdle and are just trying to navigate it. And Chris is dedicated to help onboarding new customers learn how to use the tool. And so this is just an absolute killer team. Y'all are in for a treat. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Adam. Thank you so much, everyone. Can we give another round of applause for the last speakers? They are truly some fantastic people. As Adam mentioned, my name is Chris. I am an implementation specialist here at Trainual. I have had many different hats in my small tenure at the company. Over the past 3 years, I've held 4 different titles, all in the customer experience department, and I am dedicated to helping you all make the most of your software. So thank you for being here. Happy to be speaking in front of you today. Before we continue on with our session about the great Trainual tidy up, I want to start with a story. I grew up like Chris Ronzio in the Chicago suburbs. We lived in a modest house in the southwest suburbs, and we loved playing outside in the big field next to our house, underneath the power lines. It was fine. We're okay now. But in that field, we would play just about any sport you can imagine. Basketball in the little parking lot next to it, football, field hockey. We'd play soccer. We would make up our own games. We would have relay races. The Chicago winters are cold, but the Chicago summers are beautiful. So my siblings and I would spend countless hours playing out in that field, and then inevitably, we'd have to end, right? The sun would go down, we'd be leaving for another event. We would take all of our gear and bring it back into the garage and put it in the designated spot. The designated spot was often referred to colloquially as the pit, where it would collect all of the things that we were using throughout the summer to play with day in and day out. Now, as months would pass, the pit would start to gradually fill up. Hockey sticks, tennis rackets, footballs, soccer balls, bike pumps, bike tires, you name it, it ended up in the pit. It was easy. It was there, and it was fun to just throw the things in as we ran off to the next adventure of being a kid. Well, my dad couldn't stand it. And so, inevitably, every 6 months or so, as winter would start coming, he would say the 8 words we dreaded the most. Kids, it's time to clean out the pit. We knew exactly what this meant. We knew that we would have to spend hours of our day in this 4-foot by 6-foot hole in our garage, going through months of leaves and dirt and cobwebs and weed killer and anything else you can imagine to get our hands dirty and do my dad a service of cleaning out the pit. It served a purpose, though, because what you might not know is behind this 4-foot by 6-foot hole in our garage was a door that led into our basement. This door would open up into one of our back rooms and would have easy access into our house. Now, I mentioned those cold Chicago winters when my dad would drive his car into the garage. The last thing he would want to do would be to go into the garage, park his car, then leave to go back outside just to enter the house or the front door. And so taking the time to clean out the pit every fall was a necessary task that we kids had to endure. Clutter would inevitably build up. We'd spend the time to go through it, clean it out, and then we'd immediately see the value. We now have an easy way to get into our house. Now, as we all know, clutter continues, right? Things would go in there, snow shovels and sleds, snow boots, more things would build up. A few months would pass, my dad's barometer would reach a boiling point, and he'd say, kids, it's time to clean up the pit. Well, today I am here to present 3 incredible speakers to you who are going to help you clean up the pits of your Trainual account. Things build up in your account, right? There is clutter in your people tab. There is clutter in your groups. There is clutter in your content. There is clutter everywhere, and that is okay. Clutter will be part of your experience in Trainual. It just takes a little bit of effort, a couple hours here and there throughout your year to clean up the pit of your account. And so, the three things that we're going to focus on today is one, how do you tidy up those groups? How do you make sure that the right people have the right responsibilities in your organization and that the right content is associated with those groups? After we understand our people component, we're going to work on talking about some of the content areas. What does building a process really look like? Are some of my subjects one subject with one topic with one step? Does it easily lay out the process for someone to follow? Or have I just dumped in a PDF document and said, I need someplace to store this, just throw it in Trainual? And then finally, much like we would do after we've taken the work to clean out the account, what are some tips and tricks from the experts in the room to maintain your account, to make sure that it is future-proofed from more clutter? Again, it's always going to build up, but what can we do to keep it just a little bit tidier every time? So, without further ado, I want to bring up our first success coach. You know her, you love her. It is Success Coach Emma to talk to you about how to clean up your groups and people.
Thank you, Chris, for that introduction. Hello, everybody. My name is Emma. I'm a success coach here at Trainual, and I've had the pleasure of working with customers just like you over the last 2 years, setting your accounts up with success. Maybe you've attended one of my Getting Started sessions. If so, bonus points to you. But what I'm so excited to talk to you all about today is how you can keep those accounts that you've spent time building tidy and organized long-term by leveraging your groups and people. This is my favorite place to begin. So I want to start by talking about some of the common concerns that I hear from customers all the time, right? Whether it's day one, they're just getting started and they're thinking ahead, or they're 2 years down the road and they're coming back to organize their account, make sure that they're optimizing Trainual. These are things that I hear, right? I've built all of this content. I've come in here, I've built tons of subjects, and my account feels so messy. It feels disorganized and I'm overwhelmed. Now, spoiler, groups is the way that we're going to tidy it up. It's the way that we're going to make it feel less overwhelming. But who here knows what a group is? Who has groups in their Trainual account? Right? Lots of us know what a group is. Lots of us have groups. And maybe you know that you should be using groups, but there are so many of them. There are too many, and it makes you feel overwhelmed, and it makes you feel ill-equipped to really optimize Trainual. So no matter where you are at in the process of getting groups set up, optimizing your people, my goal by the end of this quick little session is for you to feel much more confident and comfortable leveraging those areas of your account to set yourself up for success when it comes to building content, which is what Sean's going to walk you through. So let's go ahead and jump into Trainual and get started. All right, we're in Sean's awesome account, Kessel Run, Star Wars theme, so there's some fun little secrets in here for you, which is always good. But when it comes to tidying up groups and people, the first place I start is the groups page, right? So you can see we're in the groups page right here, left-hand side navigation, we're in groups. The first thing I like to do is do a surface level audit, right? I want to look at group titles, I want to look at group types. Now, depending on how long you've been with Trainual, you may remember the days where we just had roles, right? We had roles and we had to sort of jerry-rig them to make them what we wanted. We've expanded that now. We have groups and we've got 5 different group types, but maybe you have some holdovers, some carryovers from the olden days, and that's cluttering up your groups page. So the first thing I like to do is come in here and audit what I have, right? So right off the bat, I'm seeing that I have an all users group. This is probably from before we had that everyone group that Hannah mentioned. So this is probably one that we can delete because the everyone group has been built for me by default. It's much easier to manage long term, and so that's a quick win. I can come in, remove the groups that are no longer relevant. I'm seeing right here a group called Boba Fett. Now, of course, I'm sure Boba Fett's doing the most, and I appreciate him. But we probably don't want a role named after an individual user, right? Now, it's important to think about what our individual users are doing. That's step one, figuring out what responsibilities are. But the primary purpose of a group is figuring out how your people work together. So what we want to do instead of thinking about Boba Fett is, what is Boba Fett doing? What's his job? What's his department? And figure out what those responsibilities are. So unfortunately, we're gonna delete Boba Fett. I'm so sorry. But it's for the best, right? I know, sorry. I'm also seeing right here, we've got 2 CEO groups. One's a role, one's a department. Now this sometimes happens, right? You're the account owner, but you've got a handful of managers, right? Maybe some other admins, some group managers coming in, doing their thing, and maybe one person creates a group that's already in there, right? And you realize down the road that all of a sudden you've got a handful of groups that are duplicates that you don't even need. So this is another part of that audit. Come in here, clean it up. Now, the last thing that I'm seeing on this page is that I've got 2 groups down here. Customer experience, that's a department, and customer experience department, that's a team. And that's a common question I get all the time, right? I've got teams and departments, what's the difference? Which one should I use when? Now, the goal with our group types is to give you all the most flexibility when it comes to how people work together. So if you don't have teams, don't feel like you have to add them to your groups page. Build what makes the most sense for you in your business and know that you have areas to expand, right? So we probably don't need a team called a department. We can see that this department has subjects. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete it and just work for my customer experience department moving forward. So this only took a couple of minutes. What I'm really doing in this first stage is looking at my group names and looking at my group types and making sure that they align and make sense. The next thing that I've noticed as I've looked at my groups page is that most of these groups don't have group managers. And that's a really quick indicator to me that I'm not fully optimizing this area of my account. We released group managers this year as a way for you to better delegate, remember, do it, document it, delegate it, better delegate the management of groups, their performance and content assignment to the most trusted employees that you have, right? Part of setting up Trainual is to get it out of your head, to give the people in your business that need the access, the permission, the sort of access that they need, right? So we're gonna go in here and assign group managers when we need to delegate the responsibility of managing these groups to people that we trust. So I can come into my finance and analytics, and maybe I wanna make, Padme our group manager, because she seems smart. There we go. Now Padme is going to be able to come into Trainual, see the groups she's responsible for, and really run with it, right? Control content, content performance, all that great stuff. All right, I'm going to open up my customer experience group. I'm biased. I love customer experience. And we're going to talk about the next thing that I do when it comes to auditing, cleaning up, tidying up my people in groups. And that's going into my groups and making sure that my responsibilities are aligned. If groups is the sort of central hub of Trainual, where you connect your content and your people, the responsibility section is like the powerhouse of your group, right? I say this all the time in onboarding. If you're not adding responsibilities, you're not fully optimizing Trainual. Adding responsibilities does a couple of really great things for you as you're getting started, right? Not only do these responsibilities share with your users, so it's the best way for you to share expectations, hold your users accountable, keep everyone aligned. It's also going to put you as the admin or the group manager in the best position possible to create relevant training, right? Sean's going to talk about this in just a moment, but if we can outline responsibilities, if we can really think critically about what our people are doing, make those responsibilities measurable, skills-oriented, and process-driven, we're going to put ourselves in such a good position to build the content our users need to successfully perform their jobs. And that's what this is all about, right? So as you're auditing, in addition to adding responsibilities to the groups that might not have them, I want you to come in here and look through your responsibilities, right? Hannah and Chris both talked about the delegation planner, coming in and refreshing responsibilities. As you scale, as your business grows, one of the most common things that happens is responsibilities change, right? Teams take on new responsibilities, things shuffle, you bring on new employees, and things change inevitably. So we want to come in here, update our responsibilities, add new ones, and also make sure that they are those 3 things. They're measurable, they're process-driven, and they're skills-oriented. Those 3 things, if you keep them in your head as you're documenting responsibilities, it's going to make that documenting content process so much easier. So right here, keep and document client interactions. That's good, that's measurable, but maybe it's not as process-driven as we want it. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up and make it a little bit more specific. So I'm going to say keep documentation of client interactions in HubSpot, which is our CRM, using CX best practices. And I'll show you how this makes it much more process-driven in a moment. So now that I've updated those responsibilities, I'm feeling good. The next step that I would do if I were tidying up, cleaning up my people in groups sections so that I'm in a good spot to tidy up my content, is I would use my delegation planner, right? So again, we've talked about this a few times today. The delegation planner is a feature included in Trainual Plus, but it really helps you optimize your experience as an admin when it comes to thinking about what your people do, where they spend their time, and giving you the ability to better delegate those responsibilities across your groups and users. So I can come into this delegation planner, and what I love to do most is open up some of these responsibilities, and I can actually start connecting content, right? So I can connect training within Trainual, right? So maybe I've already come in here and built some subjects, some trainings right here, customer communication best practices. Definitely want to include that. Maybe I want to connect a training on HubSpot. So you can imagine if I had a brand new employee and they were onboarding to my company, not only are they going to be able to see what I'm expecting them to do from day one right on their profile page, I'm making it so easy for them to understand exactly how I want them to do it, right? I'm saying, here's the responsibility you have, here's how I want you to do it. All right, the last thing I want to chat through quickly before I hand it over to our activity, and then Sean will take over for building content, is just keeping your manage users page nice and tidy, right? So we've tidied up groups. You're going to go in, audit those group names, those group types, make sure that you're really optimizing responsibilities to put yourself in a good spot for building content. We're going to use that delegation planner to delegate responsibilities better. The last thing I want you to do is make sure that your users are actually in Trainual the way you want them to, right? This happens all the time. Maybe you bring someone as an author, they're gonna build content with you as you're getting started, and down the road, they don't need that access anymore. So we can always come in, we can edit a user, we can drop their permission down from an admin to a general, for example, make sure that people have the access we want them to have. This is also a great time to see your invite status, see if you've got pending invites, right? Or people that haven't been invited yet. This is a great time to communicate with your leaders. Make sure that the people that are getting brought into Trainual are getting brought in at the right time. And the last thing is archive users that have left. Maybe Chewbacca found a better opportunity and he doesn't need to be with us anymore, unfortunately. I can archive Chewbacca and make sure that I'm freeing up that seat for a new user. All right, we're gonna jump super smoothly back into our slide deck. And we're gonna jump into a discussion. So in your workbooks, I want you to open up to page 4. Pages 4 and 5 are gonna be a great place for you to discuss in small groups at your table about what we just learned about responsibilities, documentation in specific. So what I want you to discuss is sort of one commitment today that you can make, that you can take back to your business to ensure ongoing attention and commitment to updating and documenting responsibilities, right? Why is this important? What are you gonna do with your business, and sort of what are the plans that you have? And something that's really awesome for you to discuss amongst yourselves at your tables is sort of what challenges have you faced in documenting responsibilities and how have you overcome them? You have a great opportunity to talk amongst yourselves, chat with people in different industries, learn about what they're doing, the responsibilities that they have and how they deal with them, and really figure out cross-industry how everyone is leveraging Trainual and documenting responsibilities as a way to set yourself up for success long-term. So launch into that, and Chris will bring you back in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, everyone continue. Meet the people at your table, talk to them, network with them. If you are a Trainual employee, give some best practices. This is your time. I'll call us back together in a few moments. Talk with the people, learn what you need to do, and reflect on some of the responsibilities. Thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Do we all feel better about our responsibilities now? Thank you for whomever clapped. I appreciate that. I haven't gotten the Trainual subject on that one, so I don't know that I'm signed off on that process yet. But Adam assigned that to me in my group. Well, thank you so much. Hopefully that discussion with your team was helpful. Hopefully you have a few things to take away from this, ways to build better responsibilities, connect that content to your groups, and make sure that you have the right people in the right place doing the right thing. But transitioning now into the second portion of this, we are going to learn a little bit more about what it means to create great content. Again, we talk so frequently about these subjects, how we assign these to our team, what they mean to our team, getting your business out of your brain and into your Trainual account. How can we create great subjects that our team is going to want to follow? And for more on that, we're going to bring up Success Coach Sean.
Yay! Well, hello everybody. It's super fun to be up here. I've been with Trainual now for almost 6 years, so I've seen all you come here, so that's fun, right? No, this is exciting. I'm really excited to talk about this. A few weeks ago, I was chatting with an awesome customer named Veronica, and she was showing me her Trainual subject, and before we got into it, she said, you know, I feel like some of our SOPs might be too long. Anybody feel like that? Yep. Okay, a few of you? Okay. Everybody, all right, everybody got it. And she continued on. She said, the problem is they are necessary. And I do not believe breaking it up with some gifts is going to help. And I was like, challenge accepted, right? We can do it. Yes, we can do it. It's not the only thing, but this certainly is a thing. So we jumped in, and let's take a look what we had, right? So popping over, this was her subject. Now, if you can look at that subject and tell me exactly what you're going to learn in that subject other than communication between office and field personnel, because that's the name of the subject, the topic, and also the step, by the way, right? I had no idea. It's like, well, let's jump in and look at it and see what we got. And so we hopped into that step, and this is what we had, okay? It's basically a one-step topic with a brain dump of information, and I want to be super clear right now, I am not knocking her at all, right? Because this is the first phase of documentation. You get it out of your head, and you make sure it's clear and it's accurate, right? The problem is sometimes this is where we stop with our documentation. We don't go any further than that, and that leaves us with big, long walls and stacks of words. And why is that a problem? Because we are human beings, not computers, right? And as human beings, when we look at big walls of text, it makes it hard for our brains to focus on really specific, important things that we need to extract out of that content, okay? So what we need to do is break things down into smaller pieces that make sense for how we humans learn. So that's what we did. You know, we said, let's look through this entire brain dump, which is awesome, by the way. It's just some good organization there. See what we can do to group like things together. And we can use this principle whether it is, you know, a step like this, several topics, entire subjects. Use the same principle here. What we're going to do is we're going to look at this and see if we can group like content together. And the way I'm going to do this, so we started looking together. I said, well, look, we've got a purpose, and then we've got a scope together. That seems like that should go together, right? Now, I'm going to use some highlighting in here. We're going to make this green, okay? And we just identified this content sort of goes together, okay? Let's keep going. We've got communication methods. There's a little header there, and there was 1, 2, 3. There's some sub-steps that are part of that. It almost looks like a little topic, right? So let's just go ahead and highlight that together. Okay, there we go, down to email right there. And I'm going to highlight that in some yellow right there. So again, now we're starting to identify what's this content that goes together. Scroll down a little bit further, we had communication guidelines. Okay, we had another set of steps. Let's highlight that. There's a note that went with that as well. There's this escalation procedure that also, in discussing this together, went with those sub-steps. So let's highlight that together. Make that some pink right there. And then we had this acknowledgement down at the very bottom of this SOP. And just all by its onesie right there, kind of lonely. So we thought, you know what, that acknowledgement sort of could go back with the first part of here, right? Purpose, scope, and acknowledgement. So let's go ahead and we'll highlight that in green as well. So now we have gone through this step. And again, this is one step. You could do the same kind of concept going through all your topics in a subject, basically looking where you could group like content together. Now we did this with highlighting. You could do this on a sheet of paper and just outline it out. You could use a flow chart in Trainual to kind of map out how the process goes. Then you have this visual idea like this is what we need to do. This is how we need to start reorganizing this. So what we did, now we had this clear, we built this, okay? A little bit cleaner. We broke some of those topics out a little bit. I want to emphasize one thing right here. We did not add one single new word to what I'm about to show you, okay? It's all exactly the same stuff that was there. It's just organized better now, okay? So let's take a look at it. So we hopped into overview, and we've got now that purpose, the scope, and the acknowledgement all in one step over on the left side. Each one of those has its own step. Is it okay to have a step with one sentence in it? Everybody go like this. Yes, totally. Because if it's intentional, it makes sense. Here, it's really easy for me as a learner to go, oh, this SOP applies to all office and field staff at Supremo Pool Builders. Yay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, we've got our acknowledgement that we popped up there as well, all right there. Makes it really easy for me as the learner, because this is what we need to be thinking about. We're building this not for ourselves as subject matter experts, right? We're building this for people who may be brand new to this content. Let's give them some nice, clear things to look at. Let's go to the next topic. This topic was communication methods. Okay, again, call. Remember over here, that was all here. I had to like find that somewhere, right? Now over here, it's just its own step. It's okay to break things down into those smaller pieces. Again, I'm going to call you back to that subject matter expert thing. It's really easy to take for granted the knowledge that we have. Let's think about our learners, the primary people that are going to be getting this when they're starting. Made that super easy. If I'm coming back to this later on, and I'm just looking for daily logs, is that easy for me to find? Dang, that was really easy. It's right there. Super, super easy. I didn't even add any GIFs in here yet. Okay? Now, how about searchability? Okay? Now, I'm already in here looking at this, so it's easy to see what I'm looking at here, but what if I'm like 6 months down the road, and I've already done my onboarding? And I'm out in the field, I'm at a pool, I'm gonna be building this pool, and I forgot this one I need to communicate with the field staff. Well, I'm gonna hop out of here real quick, go up here to the search that Hannah talked about a little bit earlier, and I'm just gonna type in field staff. Field staff. There's my field staff to office communication. Easy. I found that so quickly, and I didn't have to pour through all of this to find what I was looking for, right? Super easy for me to find right there. And yes, we had a header image with a nice cute dog up there. That's cool. Added some emojis in there, but made it really easy for my learners to digest, okay? Small digestible chunks, okay? Now, as we continue on, there's more. This is how we set up this subject. So if I go back here, I'm going to open this up to full view mode because now that we have fully built, reorganized the content, it's now clear and much easier for my team members to go through and see. Now I can take that next step. The first phase of documentation, like I said, is just get it out of your head, make sure it's accurate, right? We've done that, accurate and clear. Now we can get to the fun stuff, right? We can start building content. I'm going to hit my edit mode here so you can see the other things that we started to build in here. So in addition to our topics that we built out, we built a flowchart, okay? To illustrate this, again, this is just simply based on what we found right here, right? We built that flowchart for us. Now it's a lot easier to navigate and see that. Oh, I'm totally moving my flowchart, and that's totally okay, right? I'm going to move it all over the place there it is. Like that, Alex? He built that. Look great. Okay? I'm going to go back. We were also able to build out a test in there, an AI-based test. So you can use AI to build tests in Trainual. So we were able to take that original SOP that was perfectly laid out, okay, in terms of the content. We broke it down to smaller, more manageable pieces, and now turned it into effective and fun training for people to go through, okay? So, simple principle that you can apply, again, grand scale, all the way down to the micro, okay? So, with that said, it's now time to apply, okay? So, you've got in your workbook, go to page 6. Page 6 looks like this, okay? Where I have conveniently given you a process called how to change a flat tire, okay? Now, everyone should know this skill. My kids are learning this skill, and everyone in here probably already knows how to do it. If you don't have to tell anybody because it's right there in your workbook. Now you have it, okay? Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna work with your table buddy, so grab a table buddy, okay? Look at that process. It's a one-step topic, and I want you to start to organize that content. If you turn the page over, there's some sheet where you can just like draw or outline. You can flowchart this out or whatever. Yes. You're missing highlighters? Okay, we got to get some highlighters over here. Yes. There we go. All right. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have you get together with your table partners and just look through that content and see how you can organize it better. What goes together? Okay? Turn that page, maybe flowchart it out. Maybe outline it out. Whatever makes the most sense for you. Apply what you just learned and discuss it with your tables when you're done. Okay? All right.
Wonderful, everyone. Take a few minutes to do that. We'll convene in a moment. Bring you back up here to the stage. Thank you so much for taking some time. Again, haven't been trained on that process, but I'm doing my best. I think I have to raise my hand. And we do a little. I'll work on it. I got the Trainual subject. I just haven't completed it yet. We're halfway through. 50% completion on that. All right, everyone. We have now worked on our people. We have worked on our content. We have cleaned out some of the pits in our Trainual accounts, but we are now here to welcome up our third speaker of this session to teach you ways to future-proof your account from clutter. Please join me in welcoming Success Coach Rach.
Hi, everyone. So nice to be here in the room, live in Playbook. I've been in part of all the virtual Playbook events, and we've always thought about wanting to do it live, and it's so cool to be here in the room, especially because I had some time to kind of connect with some of you before the session, and I met with some customers that have been in Trainual for just a few months, and some customers that have been here for 3 or 4 years, and some people that have 10 employees and some 25, or 125, and it's so neat to see how all of you are focused on maintaining your processes and your standards so that your Trainual account supports the growth and scale of your business. I'm really excited to talk to you today about how to set yourself up for success as you move forward and do this really, really hard work of building your processes inside of Trainual. We're going to be working at page 9 of your workbook. I'm going to have a few quick steps that I'm going to talk you through on how to maintain a tidy Trainual, and it all starts with standards and a process. As I wrap up here, Chris is going to show you how to gain access to a fully built-out template that outlines how to set up standards and the process for maintaining your tidy Trainual account, and that's going to be really helpful for you to download it, customize it, and adopt that for your business so that long term this is working for you, right? We're building this really neat machine that's kind of setting you up for success here. Chris is going to help you download that as we move forward here. But meanwhile, I want to talk to you about 5 simple things, just 5 things that you can use to help you maintain your Trainual account. Swipe. I'm not so good with the swiping, I apologize. My 5 simple things are this. In order for you to maintain your Trainual account, the most important thing is for you to make time for it. It's easy to do that when you first start out, right? Because you invested in the software, you're bought in, you're making it happen, but then you build the thing and sometimes you let it sit. And so the most important thing that you can do to maintain your Trainual account is to set up a recurring calendar event where you're dedicating time and being intentional about jumping into Trainual and making that happen. I like to do this quarterly. Quarterly is a nice kind of position because it helps you kind of look forward at what's happening in the business up in the next quarter and kind of level set and retro on what's happened in the past and what needs to change. And so my first recommendation for you is to go ahead and set some time up on a quarterly basis, recurring, so that you're not kind of trying to find the space as the quarter hits you and all this stuff comes up on your timeline to make that happen. Now, this is not just you, right? If you're the business owner and you have all the subjects inside of your Trainual account and you're the subject owner on all these subjects, nah, we're not doing that. This includes you and all the subject matter experts in your business that can own a process. You want to be intentional about taking some of those processes and giving them out to some of your subject matter experts so that they can own it. And that way, when you're sitting down and doing your subject review on a quarterly basis, you're focusing on the content that you own, and all your subject matter experts are making time on their calendar to do the same. That's going to help kind of maintain this engine moving forward. The second thing that I want to recommend for you is just focus on what you own. It is so easy to get distracted, especially you're kind of the person in charge that everybody's reaching out to, asking questions. There's an emergency, the phone rings, the cat wants to snuggle. I mean, maybe that's just me, I'm sorry. But that happens, right? You get distracted a lot. And so this second piece, I want to show you how to focus on just what you own so that when you're doing that time block thing and you're sitting in front of Trainual, you can really kind of start to finish complete a review of everything that you own. For this, I'm going to do this in Trainual. I'm going to do the swiping thing. I did it successfully. Yay for me. When you log into Trainual and you jump in, you're going to head over to your content page. Here's where it can get a little bit funky, right? Because if you're logging in and looking at everything, it's like, oh, dang, where do I start? What do I need to do? How am I going to get this done? And the time is derailed. And so what I want you to do is focus on filtering out the noise and just look at the content that you own. Again, this is why it's so important for you to delegate some of the ownership of your content to your subject matter experts. Just take a look at the stuff that you own, and that's going to help you just manage the review process and just work on a realistic list of content that you can review. When you're in this kind of framework, now you can just look at this as the list, right? We're going to start from the top and head all the way through. Within this view, you can kind of think of this as like a quick hit list, right? Emma talked to you a lot about your group. So on a quarterly basis, things change. Maybe your group framework has changed in the last quarter or something has evolved. We want to make sure that your content is still shared with the right groups and that the folks that need to complete the content are still required. I think someone in the audience had asked, like, how do you get people to 100%, right? How do we make sure that the completion of our content is up to date and accurate as we're moving forward? Maybe over the last quarter, the folks that you invited to that subject don't necessarily need to complete step by step each one of those, all of that content. You can remove that requirement for that user group in order to clean up and tidy up that completion. Or maybe you need to add additional groups here. A quick hit of this kind of view is to make sure that it's shared with the right people, that it's in the right discoverability. So is this a piece of content that everybody in the company should be able to access, even if it's not necessarily a part of their role? This is a great opportunity for you to just jump in and make sure that the discoverability piece is accurate. If it's that subject that's really like awkward, like how we fire people, maybe we make that private. We don't need anybody to see that. But this is just a neat way for you to kind of make sure that this is still accurate. So my first step when you're focusing on what you own is do this quick hit list and then jump into the subject. Again, we want to work from the top down. So when I click into that first subject, easy opportunity for you to jump in and add some emojis or add our auto compose tool to add some descriptions of your content. This is a nice place for you to kind of clean up your content. And so I'm going to actually click into this first topic. I like to work in topic blocks. So think of each individual topic as my one work block and work from the top down. So within here, there's going to be two different types of changes that you need to make when you're doing your subject review. The first is small changes, like maybe you got to update the URL to something, or you got to add another video content, piece of video. If it's a change that's just going to take you a few minutes to do it now. I really like our smart tools for this. Like, sometimes you run into content where it's been around for a while, you did that brain dump, now you're going back into that new quarter and you're like, I can freshen this up. I love our smart tools because you can easily change the tone, make it more conversational, shorten it. This is a really easy way for you to quick hit those changes and update it in just a few minutes. Anything that's just gonna take you a few minutes to do it now. So I can update that emoji. I can figure out how to work the trackpad because I'm used to a mouse. I can, add a cover photo, do my thing. I could do my thing. But as you move forward, just go topic by topic and go into like each individual topic block. Now, that's the first piece of it, right? If it's just gonna take a few minutes for you to do it now. But what about those larger content updates, right? The things that are gonna take maybe a little bit longer time period where you're gonna have to maybe invite some stakeholders to add some collateral for you, do a capture for you, add a video for you. Maybe you gotta kind of jam with your team to see how you're gonna train your people to get it done. For that type of content, I recommend that you do it later. So take that out of your review block and separate some time between now and the next quarter to make that piece of it happen. Inside of Trainual, every single subject, topic, or step has its own unique URL. So here's where you can grab that URL and take some time on your calendar, again, between now and that next quarter, to say, how much time do I need to allocate to completing this overhaul to introduce a new CRM or a new product and service that we're adding to the business? And who can I invite to make that happen with me? Documentation is a team sport, right? So your subject owners have what they own, you have what you own. In this part, you got to collaborate a little bit and make that happen. And so this gives you a little bit of a starting and an end point, because you could do this between the quarter. One nice thing that you should probably think about is like, what's happening in the quarter. Here I have an example of adding a new product or service, right? Maybe you're onboarding 5 team members in 2 months to kind of help spearhead this new product or service that you're offering. Keep that in mind when you're planning and mapping out this additional time block for you to get that piece of it done. Awesome. So you've got time blocking to make it happen, focusing on just what you own. I'm going to actually switch over here. Discerning what can be done now, if it's a quick change that you can do in just a few minutes, or what you can do later. And here's my last step. Keep moving forward. That's why you want to make it a recurring event, because process is content creation and documentation in Trainual. It's going to scale and it's going to move the same way that your business does. And so my recommendation is keep moving forward, make those time commitments happen, and dedicate that time so that you can do that in your business. I'm going to send it over to Chris so you can talk a little bit more about the template.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rach. All right, everyone. Now is the time. We've learned our process. We understand what to do. Here is your knowledge assessment. By show of hands, do you understand how to get the right groups in charge of your account? The right people in the right place with their responsibilities? Perfect. I'm not going to do the stomp. You all passed that first question. Next question is, do you know how to create great content? Do we know how to break up our processes into subjects and topics and steps, make sure that they apply to everyone that they're assigned to, and that the organization is easy to follow and get to the right people in the right way? Show of hands. Wonderful. And finally, do you know how to future-proof your account? Do you have the skills needed to make sure that you're setting up time in your calendar, you're focusing on what you own, you're doing things now, you're scheduling time to do things later, and you have a mindset to keep moving forward and growing your business through Trainual? Show of hands. Saw a few less hands on that one. Show of hands on that last one. Do we know how to future-proof our account, everyone? Wonderful. I love that. Well, I want to personally say thank you so much for sitting here listening to us. Thank you for working at your tables to talk with people, to learn from them, to share a little bit about your business, to document processes. We have a plethora of resources here in the customer experience department. If you're looking for some quick help, reach out to our product experts. Go to our help center. They are available throughout the week, and our help center is open 24 hours a day to find the tools that you need. If you'd like some one-on-one support, reach out to us. Talk to one of our success coaches. Set up a meeting with them. If you have a customer success manager, reach out to them. Get to know them a little bit more. They would love to have a 15-minute or 30-minute conversation with you about your organization and how they can help. And if you're still in the implementation process, congratulations, you're doing well, you're on my team. Reach out to us. We'd love to have these meetings and make sure that you keep moving forward. I want to share this final resource with you. It is in your books, but if you'd like, go ahead and scan this QR code. This opens up to a public subject shared by Trainual. It's going to give you access to copy this into your Trainual account, where then you can set up your own process for future-proofing the clutter in your account. Teach your team what to do. Show them how to continue building great systems with people organization and content organization. It has been my absolute pleasure to talk with you. I want to give one more round of applause for our success coaches, everyone. Thank you so much. Adam is going to come up here and dismiss us to lunch in just a moment. I know you're all looking forward to that. Come find us afterwards. We'd love to say hi, and thank you for coming to Playbook.